Hello, welcome back to the Mason Cox Show. This is the sporting segment. We've got Ja Morant is a idiot of the week. We've got the NRL beef. There's two players going at it. We've got AFL news, obviously. And lastly, we've got Australian cricket is back. Yes, we're going to talk cricket on this episode. It's all happening starting now. All right, let's kick it off. Now, there's a better idiot of the week than last week's Russell Wilson, apparently. Is that true, Brayden?
Better is, I don't know if that's the word we use for the better idiot. We've got the best idiot right here, Ja Morant. Now, I don't know if you've heard much about this story, but he's been accused of repeatedly punching a 17-year-old in the head before threatening him with a gun.
Jeez.
Now, this was at a pickup game at his house.
NBA star, obviously. America, guns, hand in hand.
So this is pretty standard.
Pretty standard for America.
He was fine. He didn't really have to miss any game time for that,
From punching a 17-year-old.
Yeah, but it happens.
Does it?
We've all met a 17-year-old.
I'm picturing the 17-year-old just schooling Ja Morant, who's one of the best NBA players right now in the league. And it was at his house, is that correct?
Yeah, at his house. And Ja said it was in self-defense. He also said he swung first. Ja swung first. But he said the 17-year-old threw a basketball at his head.
Oh, wow.
And he thinks that that's technically the first swing. So his swing back was in self-defense. I don't know. Semantics.
Interesting. Doesn't get fined. Doesn't get suspended for beating up a 17-year-old. And then what else does he do this week?
Well, he flashes a gun on his Instagram Live. Now, that's pretty bad, right?
Yeah, that's not ideal.
You don't want to be flashing guns anywhere,
yeah,
let alone on Instagram Live to, the world.
Yeah.
But this all took place at 5:19 a.m., so maybe he's an early riser. But it happened at a strip club.
He decided to wake up early. So what's the first thing I want to do? Go practice basketball? Nah, strip club. Strip club to show my guns.
Some people, they go out for a jog or they go to a cafe for breakfast, maybe read the newspaper. Not Ja, he goes flashing guns at the strip club. Yeah, so now he's in hot water. And how many games do you reckon he gets for that?
You'd think at least like a month, maybe.
2 games.
2 games.
That's all.
Just 2 games. That's not even like a week.
No, yeah, well, it's not that bad. If you're allowed to be, it's America. Guns. Everyone knows guns. I actually, drilling down into it, I'm not too sure what he did wrong.
I guess it might actually be legal in this place he's at. Who knows? Because you can't be at a strip club at 5:19 a.m. That's not illegal.
Hey, don't tell him
you
what to do.
You can probably have an open carry in America. Might not be legal. I know you can't punch a 17-year-old. I know that's not legal. I am 100% sure on that one. But 2 games. Yeah. 2 games is it. Can you imagine an AFL player? Oh, wow. So imagine an AFL player. Photo comes out. Strip club. 5:19. Time stamped. Gun holstered, shows it on IG.
Maybe he just broke Instagram's terms of service.
And that's why he got suspended.
We can't be doing that.
This whole thing reminds me of Gilbert Arenas. I don't know if you ever heard the story of Gilbert Arenas. This guy played for the Wizards, number 0. He was from the hood, like proper ghetto, right? And he would bring guns into like the locker room, and he pulled a gun on a teammate in the locker room. Legitimately in the actual locker room, pulled a gun on a teammate over an argument.
Now that's a good way to deliver feedback.
Oh, direct feedback.
Yeah. It's like if you go on the 45 again and turn it over.
Snap one from the boundary again. I swear I will shoot you.
Mason, the dribble's not on, okay? Know you're 7 foot tall.
Know your strengths and your weaknesses.
Let's wait and see what happens with Ja next, because most people, if they got into these situations, they'd lie low for a week or 2.
He's doubled down.
Not Ja. You can't tell him what to do.
The weird thing is, I've read this. He's actually from like a nice, just very loving family. Like he's not from like a really, turbulent upbringing and like all this kind of stuff. He's just a guy that's come from like a nice family and a great background.
Yeah, he's it seems like he's working in reverse. You normally don't get rich and famous and then start to act like a thug. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how he progresses because he's really stepping it up.
Well, we'll move on to AFL news stuff here. We've got Ed Sheeran He is back in Australia. This man is selling out the MCG more than the AFL Grand Final. And he made a recent visit to the Saints. Now, I'm not sure the connection there, but Ed Sheeran.
He's a fan.
Is he a fan?
Yeah, he's a fan through Shane Warne, who was also a massive
Warne
fan.
is a massive Saints fan. He actually did a tribute at the MCG. I think the song was The A-Team he attributed to Shane Warne, because obviously year anniversary was recently. So he, being a friend of Shane Warne, he dedicated a song to him, which was quite nice and beautiful. And but yeah, he came to the Saints training ground, got to see everyone there. And it makes me think, who's the most popular celebrities that have ever gone and supported an AFL team?
Yeah, and there is a few. Now, I know Saints actually have, I think Eric Banner.
Eric Banner's a big Saints man.
He's a big fan. I saw the picture of Ed Sheeran out there. He is tiny. He looked...
Oh, he's short. Very short.
Yeah, he looked really short.
Ginger, still giving us a chance. I
heard an interview of his on the radio, and they were like, oh, why don't you just like cover up when you go out in public so you don't get harassed? And he's like, I'm a short ginger with tattoos, like bright, colorful tattoos. There's not a lot of hiding I can do. I imagine something that you can empathize with. You can't hide 7 foot.
Nah, wheelchair maybe. That's about the only thing you might be able to do.
But in terms of other famous people, who we got? Ricky Ponting, North Melbourne.
Yeah, old Ponty.
Big cricket fan, I know you are.
Yep.
Leighton Hewitt, Adelaide.
Yeah. Yeah, the tennis man.
Obviously, Chris Hemsworth, Western Bulldogs.
I think that's the most famous connection.
But what about Julia Gillard, Bulldogs?
Julia Gillard, Bulldogs.
Yeah.
Julie Bishop, West Coast Eagles.
Yes.
Those aren't international stars. Those are politicians of Australia. I'm thinking of like Collingwood. We've got Delvedova. We had Dirk recently stop by. We had Will Ferrell back in the day stop by. We've had some big names come through.
Yeah, but people that come through are different to supporters. They're supporters. What about your girl, Delta Goodrum, Sydney Swans?
Yeah, that hurts me.
Have you seen Sydney released a video of their new facilities? Oh my goodness.
Nice? Oof.
They are like, and we've talked about this before, when you're like, AFL clubs are like, yeah, we got state-of-the-art facilities, but you've seen all the American facilities. And it's like, not really
Not comparable.
Sydney's are. They're legit. They've got like a little indoor, like fake turf stadium, and everything's joined. And they played it just before the broadcast. And it was like, I don't know if they just gave it to the broadcasters as a bit of a flex. But
yeah,
I feel like that goes into the big, when you're pitching your club to other players to be like, hey, you want to come here? I reckon, obviously the scale and size of the club, the success of the club, and then the facilities of the club, probably the big three. And Sydney's got a fair few of them. So they talk about the culture, but it's like, I don't know, on top of culture, they've also got pretty sustained success. Like I think they were saying that John Longmire's been the coach for 13 years, just signed another 2-year extension, and he's missed finals twice, I think.
Really? Is that the stat?
In that time. So then on top of that, their new facilities and I guess like the size of their club, the prestige of it and stuff, it's a pretty enticing little package. Obviously, Collingwood has a pretty good package. You get the Anzac Day, the MCG. The AFL's always striving for equalisation. But there's just going to be clubs that are smaller that don't have that big sales package. Like Geelong is always in finals. Like if you're going to wrap up your career, maybe you're getting 28, 29 years old and you're, a superstar of the game. It's like, well, if I go to Geelong, I know I'm playing finals. Like it's almost a guarantee at this point. They have their home games, their home ground advantage. They play a few games at the G. And it's like if they're in decent nick, pretty high chance they're going to be making finals. So it's like, that's a pretty big selling point to like the genuine A graders of the competition, where it's like, poor St Kilda, they've won one flag ever. They're out in Moorabbin. It's like, what's your sales pitch? It's a hard one. So it's like that. I don't feel like you can ever equalize. So it's like, unless you're going to shift them more cash, or like it's a hard one to get on top of.
It's always like that in every sport, though. I think like the big clubs that have the following and everything else usually sustain more success because they have the interest in them over a sustained period of time. Like, you look at some of the most successful clubs in all of the AFL, you're probably looking at the clubs that have been around the longest, that have the most supporters and the biggest history. And I think that comes with, obviously, like the big games we talked about, Anzac Day, Queen's Birthday, Anzac Eve for Richmond and stuff like that. Like those games, people want to play in. Like players want to play in those because they know that's like, I'm going to experience the best of the AFL whenever it comes to playing a game at the MCG. And playing in front of 100,000 fans, like if you're playing in front of 20,000 every week, you'd be dreaming of the experience of being able to play in front of 100,000. And the only chance you're going to get of that is if you make a grand final. So it's this whole thing of like, yes, it may never be totally equal, but my question is, I guess, like as a player, if you're playing in a team that doesn't have a huge, audience and everything else every single week, what entices you? Is it money? Is money enough to say like, I'm going to stay at that club? Or is it, there's like that certain, I guess, like crossing point of how much money is enough and how much is it success you want to play in like a premiership, the crossover.
But if you're drawing in people for money, then what does that do for your culture? So if you go, hey, we're kind of down the bottom of the ladder, we're getting in a lot of draft picks, we have a bit of cash left over, let's lure in some guys on this big money, then are those guys coming across purely for money? Then what does that do for your culture? And then it's like, if you got a couple of big whales at your club that are taking up all your salary cap, everyone knows it. They're kind of looking at those guys going like, geez, I'm having better games on the weekend than this guy that's getting paid quadruple what I'm getting paid. There's a bit of that friction in the locker room. So even their selling point can also be like a negative.
It's a real it's impossible to know the perfect situation.
Yeah. It's
all about personality. And I always say like 90% is people management to make sure everyone's on the same page, reaching the same goal. And if you can get that, it's a very rare quality, I feel like, in a team.
Well, you just got to build it from the draft and then keep them around. Like,
which is tough.
Oh, it's super tough. Yeah. And especially that's when you come up with issues. It's like if you're trading away your draft picks, like you have to really know that what you're getting in and what period that your club is in. If you're like heading into the premiership window or if you're currently in the premiership window, because if you make that wrong decision to trade away draft picks, trying to top up on talent to have a tilt at the flag, but you're not really there.
If you miss it.
It can be catastrophic.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on to another one. We got NRL news. Now, NRL, there's something that happened over the weekend that was very interesting to me. Now, after the game, there's two players that had a bit of an argument. They give a bit of harsh feedback to each other after the game, right? And I think that's totally okay. That's part of sport and everything else. But the camera caught it right there, right next to each other, and like few little comments were made from the C-bomb and stuff like that. But the feedback was given on field that was given to the public, and it made me have a conversation with someone else of like how different that is to the rest of the world. Like, can you imagine a job that maybe someone here is listening to, right? So someone listening right now might be going to work going, yep, I'm going to go sit at my desk. And like, can you imagine getting the same feedback at your desk that happened on the weekend with these two NRL players that is so direct in your face about a situation that just happened?
The sporting environment is a real direct, quick feedback environment because you don't really have time to skirt around any of the...
You've got a week, next game in a week, figure it out.
Has that changed over your time in the game? Like, has it always been direct? Has it been more direct? Is it less direct now? Is it just framed differently?
It depends on the player. So different players can handle feedback differently. Some might be a bit more direct, gets them amped up and says, I'm going to make a point of this, blah, 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 I'm going to fix this right away. Some others might crumble under direct feedback. I personally, because I didn't know what this sport was, I think it was a bit of ignorance for me of like originally when I came in, it was kind of, if you gave me direct feedback, I was like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know that? It's just something I didn't understand. So I guess I was probably somewhat babied in the fact of getting feedback from coaches and stuff. But I've seen other players and how coaches have handled it and how, I think a lot of people have noticed that coaching has changed quite a bit over the last 5 to 10 years. And it's not this direct feedback anymore, getting in someone's ear and just giving them an absolute spray. This now is trying to figure out each characteristic of each person, how they like to get feedback, and being able to do that properly to make sure you're getting the best out of each player. And that's then the biggest change where you don't see as many coaches going down to the field at quarter time, pulling a player aside and just going at him, like just absolutely giving him a bath. Like you don't see that as much anymore.
I think another thing inside this is, what do you think about like a public argument, that real quick direct feedback that is like necessary in that game environment, but because people like the public aren't used to seeing it, it's kind of confronting when you see it, like right in front of your eyes. But whereas like if that was said in the rooms or something,
It's
no
usually
one
in the
would
sheds,
know.
yeah. It's usually after the game that happens.
Would you do something like that out on the field, or would you be kind of mindful that like if people see this?
It'd be a quick comment. So like let's say someone selfishly tries to kick one from the boundary, someone's open in the middle and they just try to go, very selfishly try to kick a goal, right? I might sit there and go, hey, pull your effing head in. Like, we're a team here. Do not try to fucking snap a banana from the boundary whenever it's a 2% chance you're ever going to make that. Like, kick it in the middle, higher percentage chance, play the team play. You might give a bake in that sense, and then you just move on. And the player understands, I've stuffed up, whatever, move on, next play. Because that he knows will come up in review. He knows in the back of his mind that he's sitting there, he's done something wrong. You acknowledge it, the agreement is made, I've effed up, and you move on to the next thing because you realize the game is still going to play on. But after the game, it would play in your mind going, oh, I got that feedback on the field. I'll really stuff something up. I know this is going to come up in film. And then that's whenever like the mind games really play, I feel like. Is post-game, you're going, oh, geez, what things have I screwed up? What's going to go into the team meeting? Is there something I did that was like really bad that's going to make it in the team review? Like that's when the mind games really start playing. But you'll get that feedback beforehand. And hopefully before the team review, if you do have something you've done really bad, you get a warning. A coach might come up to you and say, look, you did something in the game, not great. This is going to go up in the team review, giving you a heads up, know how to respond to this, be aware. And I think that's the best way to handle the situation.
Has there been some feedback that's stuck in your mind over your career?
I think the ones that stick in my mind are probably the funny ones. Like I think back to the Geelong game where I essentially threw the ball back in over the goal line. I think the coach is looking at me and they go, you can't do that, right? And I'm like, yeah, I do know. I know now you can't do that. The embarrassing ones probably stick out the most because those are the ones that just kind of play in your head. But no, there haven't really been too like baked in a sense of like in a team review. It might be positioning if you need to work harder back or you need to like lay a tackle or something like that kind of, you're embarrassed by whenever it comes up in a team review, because it might be, let's say someone breaks 2 tackles or it is kicks a goal and you're like, we need to be able to stick our tackles. Tackling efficiency was X amount, blah, blah, blah. And you're going, I was one of the reasons that we were so poor on the weekend. So I think those are the ones you get really embarrassed about. There's not as many pointed, like one person screwed up in a team review. It's like, that's saved for your individual review. The team review is more situational, more like, okay, you need to be in this position or we weren't pressing up hard enough or whatever it may be in this team scenario wise. But you do look out for yourself in a team review going, oh no, this was a bad look from the team. Oh, I'm probably part of this play. Oh, there I am. Just don't look up. Just don't look up. Just don't look up.
What was going through your head at that moment?
I do remember I took the mark. I turned around because I was like out the back and I was like, oh, Paddocks for the big boy. Paddocks for the big boy in the goal square. And I thought I'd marked it in the goal square. And I turned around and shat myself because I realized I was like in the point posts and I wasn't in the 2 big ones. And I just shot myself. And then all of a sudden you see out of the corner of your eye, you see Harry Taylor just streaming, just steamlining towards you. And he gets you and you're going, oh, maybe I can just like flick one over or something like that. There was I think it was Alex Fasolo, I want to say. It was like behind me. And I just kind of was like, trying to like handball throw. And in my mind, I was just like, shit. And just come back, pull my pants up. And then you just go back into defense. And in your mind, you're going, oh, geez, I've made the not top 10 for the week. That's for sure.
The thought patterns were there. I got to keep it in. But
execution, poor.
Yeah,
execution was very poor, Braden.
So we move on to cricket now because the Australian cricket team is back.
Let's go. Cricket's back, baby.
After we had 2 absolute stinkers to start off the test over in India, we rebounded.
It was a massive game. Well, one of the reasons it was a massive game because no one beats India in India. The ground is totally unique. People hate it. Everyone complains. The air quality is terrible. We've talked about this on the podcast. It's a unique place, to say the least, to play. And the victory also was important because it confirmed Australia's spot in the World Test Championships, right? So they're going to the Test Championships. What that means, who knows, to be honest. But congrats to the Australian cricket team, the 9-wicket win. Well done. We're all impressed on the Mason Cox show. We love it. We love to see it. And we can't wait for the next match, game, cricket thing, test.
I just like sitting here waiting for you to run out of cricketing words that you know.
We stepped up to the crease. We caught all the balls. We took all the wickets. It was a great day for Aussies around the world.
It would be a pretty insane place to play cricket. Is there a place that you would love to play AFL?
Oh, would love to play in LA. LA, New York. How cool would that be?
You got to think outside the box.
They do.
What about the Colosseum, Rome?
Colosseum in Rome. I think they'd have to redo the floor. I mean, like, I don't even think the Colosseum in Rome actually has a floor at the moment. So, I mean, that would be a great shot. Great shot.
Think of the visuals. The Stonehenge?
Oh, Stonehenge would be interesting.
Nice little grassy field.
Maybe we just go with like an ancient wonder, you know? Like, maybe we find the lost city of Atlantis and play there.
Yeah, we'll workshop it. Jumping into the preseason for the AFL.
Yeah.
Again, probably wasn't the biggest viewer of your game. So this actually works well for me. Did you kick a snag? How'd you play?
Didn't kick any snags, played ruck the whole time. Also, didn't cop any criticism. I thought I would get so much from Tassie. They were all very lovely. Thank you so much, Launceston.
They don't have the internet down there. They couldn't.
Wow, Raiden. Oh, rough. Tassie, I'm sorry. You
don't have to apologize now. You left. You got in and out.
Nah, we'll be back at some point, I'm sure. But Tassie, played in Launceston. Amazing crowd. The deck over there was awesome. I must say, University of Tas, well done on the deck.
It is a really nice deck. I reckon Launceston has the nicest oval, in terms of playing surface that I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's up there. What's better? I mean, MCG round 1, pristine MCG. You get to round 23 and it's the thing is torn up. It's somewhat of a mud pit in the middle. They try the best and they do a really good job. But that round 1 MCG, it is pristine turf.
They just had 106,000 people standing on it for Ed Sheeran's concert. It's going to be a ripper.
It's going to be tough, yeah. But no, it was a good little session down there. We beat Hawthorn by 10 points, something like that. High scoring game, which was good. Dan McGood was Dan McGreat again, as we all know.
He's Jewel Coleman, isn't he?
Oh, mate. I've got him. Oh, I don't know if I can say this in betting terms, but he's going to go well. I won't say what he might win, but he's going to go well.
Now, I said that I didn't watch it, and that's because the preseason games lost me. Now, I don't know if you were around for these, but they used to be exciting and they used to give them weird, wacky little rules that they would try for once-offs and they would never come back. Were you around for the Super Goal? They used to do the 9-pointer outside 50?
Yeah, I was there. I think it was 1 year in the NAB Cup and playing Carlton. And I remember the cool thing about the Super Goal, right? So it was 9 points for the Super Goal, but you also got to donate a certain amount of money to your youth football program that you went through.
Yeah,
so
yours.
If I kick one outside 50, do I just pocket the cash? I mean, in all honesty, where does it go? I'm not going to give it to Oklahoma State basketball. I'll tell you that. I might as well just pocket myself.
Give it to your brothers team.
The Austin Crows. Yeah, that's a good point. Shout out to the Austin Crows. Shout out to the North Tassie Devils last podcast. So the Austin Crows get the shout out this week.
We got a return shout out. The Tassie, the Devils?
North Texas Tassie Devils.
The North Texas Tassie Devils. Tassie Devils?
Yep, Tassie Devils, I think. Just roll with it, Brayden.
North Texas Tassie Devils. They gave you a shout out for shouting them out. So now we're shouting out their shout out for shouting them out. So
it's just a bit of love. USAFL love. We're all about it.
But I think one rule that they had in that they took out that needs to come back is when the ball hits any of the posts and comes back into play, it's play on.
Yeah, fan of this. Definitely a fan of this.
How cool
I've been saying for ages, if it goes through the 2 big posts, even if it hits a post and if it goes through, that should be a goal.
So if it post and then inside.
And it goes through, and goes in, that's a goal. Even if it touches the post, whatever it is. Therefore, VAR, whatever it is, goes out the window. We don't care. Just tell us whether or not it crosses a plane. Bang, done. No need to tell us if it touches a pole. We don't need to get the vibration technology, all that shit, Don't need to go into the cricket stuff. I think if it hits a pole and comes back in, that's going to be exciting visual. exciting
really
visual
cool.
to see guys going, I want to punch this through, hits the pole and go, oh shit, it's literally the goal scorer. We got to somehow try to stop them from kicking a goal. I'm a fan of it.
Yeah.
I 100% agree it should be a rule. The AFL doesn't like to change things too much. Oh, they do change things quite a bit, actually. What am I saying? But those things, I feel like the center bounce has been an issue for a long time. Whether they bounce, they throw it up. I think the umpires would rather see a throw up rather than a center bounce because their backs are cooked. But I think the post thing, I'm really a fan of it.
Well, side note, they got to do the throw up thing. Like they're limiting the amount of umpires that they can have at center bounces because if you're not a good bouncer or if you're not strong enough or whatever, poor little Razor Ray gets it about 6 foot off the ground. Yeah, you're cutting out a lot of umpires that could be umpiring in that position, but can't bounce the ball. So just bring in the throw up. I used to be a traditionalist. Couldn't give a shit now. Throw it up. Because I think it's actually way worse when it's like you get the hype, you get the bounce, you get the siren, you got the crowd. Then they bounce the ball and it goes right angle and then they got to call it back and start it all again. That's shit. So let's get rid of that. But yeah, I think the post and then comes back into play is so much more exciting for small forwards. Like imagine you got Guinea and you got Bobby Hill humming around, Jamie Elliott just waiting for it to come back in.
Whenever players don't really 100% know what's going to happen, I think that's something that allows uncertainty in the game, which is something that is good for the audience. Now,
I did watch one game on the weekend, and maybe we just park the rule changes because you got enough to worry about with this one. Grundy and Gawn, the combo.
Oh,
it's
the big boys.
It was scary. And they just kept rotating. It was one was up on the wing, one was forward, the other was up on the wing, the other was back forward. They kicked 6 goals for the game.
Kicked 6 before half.
Yeah, and
3 each.
They were just plucking them. It was, scary to see. So, it really seemed like teams are going to have to come up with a strategy just for these two guys. And what everyone was kind of, questioning or doubting or wondering how they were going to go about it just a couple of weeks ago. Well, we saw a good preview of how it's going to work.
It's been one of the biggest questions of the offseason is how this kind of ruck combo is going to work because them two were kind of, for a long time, the two best rucks in the league going against each other. Now they're both playing on the same team. So you're going, okay, obviously one's going to have to play forward. They can't both play ruck at the same time. So a lot of people have been asking, how is this relationship going to work? And over the weekend against Richmond, who's not a bad team, they kicked some snags.
They kicked a third of the goals. They're 18 for the game. They kicked 6 of them. But it was more as well that it was just like Gawn didn't have to be everywhere. He didn't have to do everything. He didn't have to shoulder the load. So you're going to have a fresher Gawn. And he was just in packs down the wing. You got more bailout kicks. It was really scary. So, I don't know how you're going to run around with those two. What do you think your strategy is? Just stomp feet? Corkies?
Yeah, a few corkies. No, I think the biggest thing, and it's like with any toll, right? You have to back in the ground game a little bit more. So if you can get the ball to ground and then you have a quicker, zippier person that's playing against them, right? So let's take, for instance, Darcy Moore in this situation. Darcy Moore, aerially, he's going to probably be able to get a ground ball over Brody Grundy and Max Gawn. Then if he gets the ground ball, breaks lines, Grundy Gawn might be left behind in that sense, quote unquote, and then he can attack. So I think it's the rebound off them not being able to take a contested mark. And that's what probably a lot of people do against me because I'm obviously not the quickest person in the world. So I think that is something you'll just have to back in against such a big duo and them too. And they're going to attract people in the forward line. As a big man, I think whenever the ball's slowed, you get all eyes on you because the ball is coming to your area because you're going to be the best chance of getting the ball to ground and being able to get, the smalls involved or taking a contested mark. So this might open up some of their smalls. So if you're playing a small forward, my boy Pickett, I'm telling you, he's going to be licking his lips this year. Absolutely licking his lips with those two in the forward line. He might get some little hit-ups and stuff like that, get a bunch more ground balls, and be able to kick a few more snags.
I did see Darcy Moore's chase down tackle on the weekend. Why would you try to take on Darcy Moore?
What are you doing?
He's quick. He's not... He's tall, he's quick, he can do it all, which is, I guess, why he's the captain. When he was named captain, so Darcy Moore was named captain, it brought a story to front of mind that I'd completely forgot about. So everyone was releasing vision of him and when he got drafted and that. So I was at Darcy's house when he was taken by Collingwood with the father-son. So I was there filming. We kind of knew what was going to happen. We got there. We set up, mic'd him up and everything. His dad called.
Peter, yeah.
So Peter Moore calls, famous Collingwood legend, calls. Darcy's like, hey, Dad, you're not going to believe it. Yeah, I got picked up. Father-son, I'm going to Collingwood. It's this amazing moment.
Yeah.
Well, the audio didn't work.
Oh.
And I'd only just started at the club.
Oh, no.
So we had to pull the old, mate, like, sorry about this, but you reckon you could do it again?
Oh, the acting job.
So his dad was like, he'd hung up. He was long gone by this point in time. So Darcy, just the bloke that he is, put on the full fake conversation.
Oh,
so every video that everyone saw of Darcy having a conversation with his dad saying,
good job.
Yeah, like, congrats.
Oh, lie.
We got him to reenact it.
Oh. Did you have to put a little thing in the corner? So it was like, this is a reenactment. No.
We didn't tell no one.
No.
No one was any of the wiser, but he was a good actor. He's just as good as acting as he is on the footy field.
Man of many talents, Darcy Moore.
Oh.
I'm telling you, man of many talents.
It was at that moment I knew he'd be the future captain of the Collingwood Football Club.
He'll do anything for this club. Oh.
There is something that we do need to talk about.
Yes.
There's a few players and they're coming for you.
They're coming in hot.
So you, how tall are you?
6'11", 212 centimeters.
212.
I think it's 212. I can't remember.
Oh my God. I think you're trying to pinch every centimeter you can get.
I'm trying.
We got Alex Condon on the weekend, 211 centimeters.
He's up there.
Big boy going to University of Florida for basketball.
Yeah.
He's come across, he's a category B rookie. What do you know about it?
The biggest thing I know about this, and this is me being a selfish prick like I am, I've got this record right at the moment as the tallest player to ever play AFL, and I'm holding on to this thing with the thinnest piece of string you could possibly imagine. And it's something that's kind of cool to tell people, right? You go to these little Oz kick things, with the kids, and you're like, I'm the tallest player to play AFL. And they're like, oh my gosh, can I see your shoe? And you're like, yeah, it's huge. And if this happens, right, so these kids are coming. They're coming for me. They get taller and taller every year. There's someone that's like 7 feet tall, and then we get like 8 feet tall, and there's going to be just bigger and bigger and bigger. So I've come to the realization I need to enjoy these moments, Braden, because I'm not going to be the tallest player to ever play for very much longer. There's another guy, Mate, playing for Richmond. He's 213, I want to say, at the moment. So if he does play an AFL game, out the window. I'm gone. See you later, Mason Cox. We don't care about you no more. And that's my biggest fear is all these basketball kids now coming back going, oh, Scott Pendlebury's a basketball player. He played in AFL now. He's going pretty well. I can do this. Oh, man, if Mason Cox can learn AFL without knowing what it is, just being tall helps, I might be able to do it. And stop. Go play basketball. Go to the U.S. Go make millions of dollars. Stop trying to take the one thing away from me that makes me different from everyone else.
And you're running out of things. Like you wouldn't have been the first American, I'm sure.
Jason Holmes.
And if you're not the tallest, they're not really going to be bragging about your 100 games in the future.
We're going to get there.
There's a few of them. 100 goals. What are you on the goal kicking list, you reckon?
I think I'm one of the most accurate. I think I'm holding on to that. Someone once told me that I was the most accurate until I probably got my eyes gouged out. It's probably gone downhill since then. But
yeah, that's pretty good. Are you the first player to play with goggles?
Second, probably with goggles. Someone played with glasses once, which I find phenomenal that someone played with a pair of glasses, like actual glass.
You need to do something weird. Like maybe if you could be the first player to play in a fedora.
In a fedora. I don't know if you could play with a hat on. Maybe I'd be the first player. I know Jimmy Steins did it, I think, for a game, and then he like copped so much shit.
See, helmets are different to hats. If you're rocked around in a fedora, I remember someone played in full NFL kind of padded pants because they had like a blood clotting issue. So if they got bruised, it would like clot right up. So they were allowed to wear like padded pants. So you can't really do that.
The thing is, you have to get all this certified by the AFL.
Yeah.
I'd sign another contract with the AFL just so I could wear the goggles again this year.
You should have snuck something else in.
Wouldn't believe it. Just came back a day before I had to play.
You should have snuck something else in. Like culturally, you need to wear knee-high cowboy boots. Can you imagine knee-high cowboy boots with like studs on the bottom? You're running around in those bad boys. Cowboy hat on.
I'll let you try to edit that into a social clip for it.
And then you goal celebrations, hit them with the 6 shooters.
Oh, yes. Well, it's kind of similar to the goal umpire, just a double pistol. So maybe that should be the goal. Maybe that'll be the goal celebration. A little 6-shooter just duel.
If anyone out there does custom cowboy boots, make up a pair.
Someone has actually. No.
What?
I'm dead serious. Someone sent me these. They've made cowboy boots of me. They showed me at a grand final, like Eve party thing. And this guy came up and was wearing them. And it was like Mason Cox, and it had like an American flag on the side, like Collingwood colors. It was wild. I'm going to go dig this up and find it so we put it on socials. But yes, there is a person who's made cowboy boots, custom American Mason Cox ones. And shout out to that guy. Shout out to that guy.
Get those across the line. Have them kick, in your 100th game, run out there in the cowboy boots with the studs on.
I still think we should be able to dress up before games. If we can get that over the line, I will show up in a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, pearl snap button down, and some jorts.
I think at this point, everyone's talked about that forever.
Yeah.
The players need to just come in casual clothes. What are they going to do? If every single player rocked up in a suit or whatever, what's going to happen?
Just put it in the next CBA.
Yeah, I guess. But that's like really forcing their hand. What the club's going to say, nah, go home and change, mate.
Nah. No chance.
It won't happen.
Maybe we start with accessories because I think you can get away with accessories. Maybe I just wear a cowboy hat in. Maybe I wear a headband mullet.
Or just a big Morant chain and whipping your gun around, walking into the MCG.
I don't think the gun's going to get into in-house security, brother.
All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. That is the Mason Cox Show Sports Podcast. Everyone, thanks for listening. As always, subscribe on all the socials so you get the updates whenever a new episode comes out once a week. And listen, later this week for our entertainment episode, there is some good stuff, some juicy goss in the celebrity news you cannot miss. So check it out. Coming out later this week. And as always, thanks so much for tuning in. Peace.
Yep.